Okay. Awesome. So I want to extend a very, very warm welcome to everyone that's here today that made the effort to come, and also to all the Zoomers that are in attendance as well. So I'm going to start the meeting with the Invocation National Prayer, and it's led by Mary Lou Rancharan. And please join in.
Almighty and eternal God, Jesus Christ has revealed the truth to our nations. Please protect and preserve Belize, our beloved country. God of might, wisdom, and justice, please assist our Belizean government and people with your Holy Spirit of counsel and fortitude. Let the light of your divine wisdom direct their plans and endeavors, so that with your help we may attain our just objectives. With your guidance, may all our endeavors tend to peace, social justice, liberty, national happiness, and the increase of industry, sobriety, and useful knowledge. We pray, O God of mercy, for all of us, that we may be blessed in the knowledge and sanctified in the observance of your most holy law, that we may be preserved in union and in peace, which the world itself cannot give. And after enjoying the blessings of this life, please admit us, dear Lord, to that eternal reward that you have prepared in Jerusalem.
Thank you, Mary Lou. Beautiful. Next on the agenda, we have the national anthem, the Belize national anthem. And what I'm hoping is that anyone that has the familiarity and would like to sing it loud can come right over here, because this is the singers. So everyone that knows the words and like to sing, I don't know if we have the music. Did you get the music yet?
I got it right here. I'm going to turn it on now.
Okay, everybody ready?
Microphone by there. When you play it, put the microphone on.
Okay, perfect. Okay. The Belize national anthem. Does everybody have a copy?
Fine.
No tyrants to linger, this force must flee, this triumph, the haven of democracy. The blood of the sons which call us the sun, Lord, freedom from slavery, oppression, by the might of truth and the grace of God, no longer shall we be yours of wood. Arise, three sons of the baby's clan, roll on your honor, live the land, drive back the tyrants, let the exports free, land of the free, by the carrying sea. Nature has blessed me with wealth untold, o'er mountains and valleys where prairies flow. Our fathers, the Baymen, valiant and bold, drove back invaders as heritage home. From proud Rio Hondo to Osiris, through coral lands over blue lagoon. We watch with the angels, the stars and moon. Freedom comes tomorrow soon. Rise, ye sons of the Baby's clan. Put on your honor, live the land. Drive back the tyrants, let their spoils free, and walk the free by the carrying sea.
Thank you. We're going to move through some background of what's been happening, and it's going to start with the minutes from the last meeting, which kind of encompasses a lot. So Dottie is here and she has the minutes to read. So take it away, Dottie.
The POB Board of Directors monthly meeting met via Zoom on 18 March. In attendance were Mary Lone, Dottie Foyt, John Briggs, Jenny Hill, Karen Westdyke, and members Jane Pinckney, Michael Richardson Sparkle, and Darcy Rigoletto. Chair Mary opened the meeting at 3:05, followed by a prayer by Dottie. Minutes. Dottie was not in attendance at the 18 February meeting to take notes and write up the minutes. In lieu of minutes, Mary read the agenda of that meeting as follows. The Pro-Organic Consumers Group. The group discussed how to promote POBCG. And the Committee on Farmer Relations and Farm Certification. With the resignation of Robin Clark, who was the chair of this committee, it was reported that volunteers are needed to help with this committee. Jane has recruited many farmers to be listed in pesticide-free farmer directory. Membership. Mary thanked Karen for her expertise in maintaining the website and allowing members to join online. She also thanked Jenny for her expertise in setting up our Zoom link meetings. The AGM. Mary announced the date of the AGM for 15 April to be held at the Bluffs. Sparkle suggested changing the bylaws to allow 30% plus one instead of 50% plus one is now stated in the bylaws. Farm tour. Mary thanked Jane for setting up the CC farm tour to be held March 11. NATS. Mary announced a POB would not be represented at NATS this year because of the excessive noise we had to endure in our location. Herb Lovers Forum. Karen reported that an Herb Lovers Forum was being planned for Belmopan, sponsored by the mayor's office for sometime in June. Through her friend Janice Bain, Karen said she was asked to help plan it. She reported that the current plans included an entrance fee of $10 and booth or exhibit table fee for $50. The venue is to be the old market location across from Social Security Building. Karen plans to send out a template to POB followers on Facebook and website for the event. Speakers meeting. Jenny opined that speakers meetings and farm tours should be scheduled less often to allow perhaps more participation and less time commitment for POB members. Karen made a motion to accept the minute notes. Jane seconded it and the motion passed. Treasurer's report. Acting on Karen's behalf, Jenny reported the POB bank balance as of March 18th was $1,454.44. The POB bank balance as of February 18th was $1,295.94. The bank service charge of $750 deducted on that first of each month. There are deposits made in the month of February equal to $141, and in the month of March so far, $25. Which includes dues and donations for Speaker Dawn Dean's lunch at the Bluffs in February. The Pro-Organic Consumers Group. Karen is making a template for Renee Abdias and Philip Mai as marketing pieces for the website. Mary reported that Abdias is opening his organic produce delivery service once again. He will handle his own list and make delivery on Wednesday afternoons at Hodie's place. Farm certification. Dottie and Mary reviewed the past activity and preparation for farm visits that were not carried out and urged the activation of the committee. Mary urged some member to chair FRCC. Excuse me. Mary reported the following schedule of speakers. 1 April, Stephen Hochstetler in organic farming and gardening. 6 May, Oscar Morales on Ramon and other tropical crops. Jane suggested that speakers meetings and farm tours be spaced out more. Given that speakers are becoming harder to find monthly, seems to be too often, and farm tours too time consuming. The matter was inconclusive. The bylaws amendment. Sparkle made a motion to change the quorum requirements from 50% plus one to 30% plus one in Article 4.4 of the bylaws. Dottie seconded it and the motion passed. In accordance with the bylaws, the membership of AGM will vote on the change. The amended article is 4.4 quorum. Quorum shall be equal to 30% plus one of POB's board and general membership members. If at any meeting a quorum is not present within 45 minutes of the time for which the meeting is called, the meeting shall be adjourned and rescheduled to a date not more than 30 days thereafter. Growers Guide. It was agreed by the board to publish the POB Growers Guide that is now on our website. Karen said that it can be published and sold by Amazon. Mary said that it needs more recipes and more entries to make it suitable for publishing. Action item. Dottie will format the guide from the online entries into a format suitable for publishing. Board nominations. In accordance with bylaws, nominations for the board of directors were made. Up for re-election is Karen Westdyke. The term for Mary, Dottie, and John expires in 2023. However, John Briggs has resigned. Jenny reported that she will continue helping the treasurer and setting up Zoom meetings, but declined serving as a director. The following POB members were nominated. The nominees will be voted on at the AGM in April. Karen Westdyke, nominated by Dottie, seconded by Mary. Jane Pinkney, nominated by Mary, seconded by Karen. Mary Lou Rancharan, nominated by Karen, seconded by Dottie. Darcy Regalado, nominated by Karen, seconded by Jane. Dottie moved the nominations be closed. Mary seconded, the motion passed. Marketing. Jane suggested establishing a steering committee to map out where we want to go and what we want to accomplish. Dottie said the function is better served by the marketing committee, which is already a standing committee. A discussion of the three standing committees followed. It was suggested as part of our marketing that Facebook and the POB website and the Belize Ag Report be used to promote our pesticide-free farmers. AGM, the annual general meeting is scheduled to be held 15 April at the Bluffs with lunch to follow from the menu or a vegan potluck. Action items. Karen will bring her laptop. Dottie will prepare the presentation called 2022 in Review. San Antonio Farmers Day. Mary attended the recent San Antonio Farmers Day and reported that it was well attended, including ambassadors from other countries, Belize governmental officials, and many folks living in the area. Mary estimated about 50 people in audience of the community center were speakers, and a panel of 10 talked about their community. She said the farmers and merchants displayed their products in the town park and are considering having a permanent market day there because of the positive reception by the attendees. It was suggested that Jane attend their planning meeting to add to her directory of farmers. The Belize Ag Report ad. Beth offered a quarter-page ad to POB in exchange for a bronze level sponsorship. Dottie made a motion to that effect. Mary seconded it and the motion passed. Youth and Agriculture Conference support. The board agreed to support YAC and participate in some way. Action item. Mary and Dottie are on the planning committee and will relay that message. The British High Commission Biodiverse Landscape Fund. Mary said whoever is interested in this funding opportunity should look further into it. Adjournment. Karen made a motion to adjourn the meeting at 4:40. Jane seconded and the motion passed. Respectfully submitted. Dottie, Party Secretary.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to accept the minute? A motion to accept the minute?
I'll make the motion to accept the minute.
We have a second? Jane second. Thank you. All in favor, I guess you have to say it. Thank you, Dottie, for a complete minute. Next on the agenda, we have a special event that we've had every year, thanks to Dottie. It's the 2022 Organic Belize Year in Review. And Michael Richardson, AKA Sparkle, is going to present the 2022 Organic Year in Review.
Hi there, Zoomers. Does everybody have a copy of this? No? Let's actually get these passed out.
Okay.
There comes a time in everyone's life when undeserved rewards come your way. Doesn't happen too often, but once in a while, you get an honor that you really didn't deserve. And in presenting the annual report, that's how I feel. As I was looking over the year of accomplishment, I realized how little I had to do with anything in the report. And so I have kind of a guilty feeling talking about all the stuff we did, knowing that I didn't. But be that as it may, we're going to go through briefly the year 2022. On the first page of the annual report, we've got the board of directors. I think there might be a name or two missing, but we try to keep up with it. Anyway, why burden us with those kind of details when you can read the report yourself? So we're going to move on. Now we're up to sponsorship.
Oh, here's one here.
This was a brilliant idea that still has to mature a little bit. The idea was to make more money. So we adopted last year a sponsorship level of gold, silver, and bronze. If you turn the page, you'll see that we actually got 2 sponsors, both bronze, the Ag Report and the Bluffs, which is hosting our meeting today. This is an area that obviously we could use a little work on, getting those gold and silver people to come on in and join up. Anybody that feels like they could make a good pitch should give Mary a little nod and say, I'll like to help recruit some money for next year and find us some more sponsors. Okay, now we're going to move to the real accomplishment of the group. The COVID epidemic was tough on a lot of organizations. Some groups have actually kind of gone out of business. Many moved to the internet, as we have done, to keep up our monthly speaker program. Pro Organic for years has been offering every single month an informed, knowledgeable speaker on topics of interest to Belizeans. And last year was no exception. We fielded 12 monthly programs. In January of last year, we had the Humana People to People program. They sponsored a pilot program down south on the benefits of organic food, and they reviewed that with us. And that ultimately led to another thing that's not even in the annual report. So listen up, and I'm going to give you a teaser that Mary will elaborate on later. We've been working with the folks in Jamaica. So keep that in mind. Okay, moving on. In February, we had William Grimshaw with Tropican talk on the prospects of industrial hemp in Belize. Of course, if you've been following the news, you see that the law has gone up and down and back and forth. And presently, all those plans made by the government of Belize are on hold, not canceled, not postponed, just on hold till they continue to work on some of these issues that have been brought forth. William Grimshaw was also a presenter for us at the Nats Fair in our farmer workshops. William Usher, who was also one of our farmer workshop presenters at the Nats Fair, was also one of our monthly speakers. He's the owner of Belize Agro Enterprises and is really kind of a soil expert. At the fair, he actually made up a batch of the stuff with a hands-on, get your hands in there and dirty feeling. Anybody that's in Belize and has a few minutes should stop by his shop and have a little chat with him. Very interesting fellow. Has trained in Japan on microorganisms in the soil. Perhaps one of the leading experts in the country on soil management. We had our own Dottie tell us about canning fruits and vegetables. And now she's over there taking notes about her own presentation. Thank you, Dottie. Okay, Ed Bowles, what a character. Ed Bowles is Belize's aquatic expert, really. He studies the rivers And when a river goes bad, like when they had the problems with the New River and all that nasty stuff floating in the water, killing the fish, Ed Bowles is the one they call. Ed Bowles has been monitoring and developed down south where a United States company, Volcan, wants to turn the shoreline into a big hole so they can haul gravel up to the United States. And Ed thinks that would be a disaster. And he gave us quite a bit of informed information. In June, we had James Mesh with Oxbow Coffee, who has put in a guest appearance here today. If you haven't tried his coffee or been out to the coffee shop,
Stay over here.
check it out. Oh, we're going to be drinking his coffee today. Okay. Thank you, James. Rudy Aguilar, a award-winning organic certifier at Belize Botanic Gardens. And this guy really knows his stuff. He's like a teacher. Maybe he is a teacher, I don't know, but he taught us. And he's just recently won some kind of an award in the US. I don't keep track of that stuff too well, but he's well-recognized authority, very knowledgeable. We're going to have him back again. In August, we had Gustavo Requinas on climate smart farming. And he talked all about the Inga alleys and how to promote soil by planting trees. There's a lot of information there that still needs to be developed and worked out. The Inga alley farmings have not yet caught on like they should. But basically, you plant this nitrogen producing Inga tree in rows and plant your gardens in between. And the trees nourish the garden. Thomas Matthew, Dr. Matthew, owner of Belize Spice Farm, told us all about his latest new venture, lemongrass oil. He's mastered the art of making vanilla. Got a big operation down there in Toledo district. And now he's taken on lemongrass oil and gave a very interesting, informative presentation on how to do it. It's not really something you kind of do in your kitchen, but maybe you could. Anyway, Dr. Matthew gave us the good word. Estevan Asi from Oxy talked all about cacao agroforestry in southern Belize. We're pretty much a Kyle-based organization. We try to have a national reach, but there's a lot going down south that we kind of miss out on. And we appreciate the opportunity to have these speakers to bring us up to speed on this stuff. In November, we had Jerry and Gary Dennis and Huberto Chuli with Belize banana fibers. You say banana fibers? Well, we went out to the banana fiber place and gosh darn, they've got 3 banana fiber extractor machines that were invented here in Belize in place. And then we saw the storeroom where all of the banana fiber products are made. You wouldn't know it to look at a banana tree, but bananas actually have a very strong fibrous base that can be woven into all kinds of items. We saw a huge basket collection made out of banana fibers. This is an area that's not been properly explored commercially in Belize, except really by these banana fiber folks. So we were glad to hear about that. And in December, Janice Payne, the herbalist, gave us some natural healing herbal techniques and tricks and tips. We've been having continuing programs, but you gotta wait till next year to hear about them, including a trip to CC Farms. Well, I guess that was a talk and a trip.
I was giving hand to Steve. Was thinking of trying.
But you gotta wait till next year to get the full story. We've got some committees and there's all kinds of opportunity to volunteer to work on them. We have a marketing committee that's gone kind of dormant. And so anybody that wants to, help get the word out, talk to Karen here. She's holding the flag up in the air for marketing. And actually, does a tremendous job promoting our monthly talks, makes very colorful flyers. Karen is kind of the secret war horse of the organization, but we won't let that out. She might quit doing some of her work. We could use a co-chair to help her with the duties. So think about it. It's a way to kind of expand your own skill set. We need a membership committee. We're always trying to get more people to join, and the ones that have joined, we kind of like them to renew. And nobody does that as well as the membership chairman. So we need a membership chairman. Good time to volunteer. Our website continues to grow. We're now exploring adding files to our Facebook page. Facebook's over 2,000 members. The organization continues to broaden its reach throughout the Belize. Sometimes you wouldn't know it by the small meetings we get, but you know, I think it was Margaret Mead said that it's a small group of people are the only ones that ever really get anything done.
But there's also power in number. Martin Luther King.
We've been putting out for some time now, a couple of years, I think, a monthly tropical garden grow guide. And it allows you to learn up a little on something you might want to put in the ground. If you haven't been keeping up on that, check it out, and you'd be surprised at some of the quality information that Pro Organic has made available to the garden grow guide. And it says canning instructions. And I'm so far behind the 8 ball here, I don't even know what canning instructions we've been giving out, but apparently we've been doing it. I'll let those,
On the
Dottie,
website, and you'll find all the instructions there for every month. It's a different-
every month. See, I didn't even know that. And here I'm supposed to be giving the annual report. I may not get invited back next year. Okay. So what did we do with the tropical grow guide? Well, you turn the page on something called committees, and there it is, the grow guide list. We did papaya, pineapple, banana, cilantro, prickly pear, squash, Malabar spinach, ginger, turmeric, aloe vera, cucumber, cowfoot, lemongrass.
And basil.
We're going to run out of plants to talk about for next year. Okay, another committee that could use a little infusion of assistance is our Farm Certification Committee. And this is actually kind of the genesis of where Pro Organic came from. The government of Belize tried to start years ago a certification process for organic farming, and they formed a group called the Belize Organic Association, which went out of existence almost as fast as it came into existence. The victim of one of those top-down NGO strategies where the money comes along and gets spent and then it's over. Well, we recognized the need and developed a PGS system. PGS, help me out here.
Participatory guarantee system.
Participatory
Guarantee system.
guaranteed system. And what that is, since I can't even hardly pronounce it, let me explain it.
Know your farmer.
It's a way to develop community-based organic standards that we ourselves developed. Not imported from the USDA or some European Union rules, but what we feel is important here in Belize in terms of the local climate, what resources we have available. And the committee worked on this for months and months, using some of the best information that he could acquire nationally, internationally, and then factor it into our local situations. And we developed the whole protocol and then began certifying and went out and did about a half a dozen farms, farm tours, the whole bit. And then COVID hit. And we canceled the farm tours. And then the general slowdown of every activity during those awful 2 years when we were all locked up allowed the Farm Relations Committee to go dormant. we still get requests from farmers. Hey, I'd like to be certified. That led to an internal discussion within the committee about what are we really doing here? There's no market demand that requires a PGS certification. People will buy it if they hear it's organic, but they're not looking for the organic PGS label. And so one faction in the committee thought that was critical to develop. Others thought it was more important to get out to the farms, and the whole thing kind of stalled. So that's a topic we need to return to. It's an important part of our mission. And ultimately, I think it'll be an important way to move Belize forward in developing further organic food resources. The PGS system, think about it. Think about how you might want to be able to contribute to getting this back in place. We have, though, continued to have farm tours. They're just not certification tours. It's funny, when we tried to get a certification tour, we'd get 2 or 3 people that would go out. But when we announced it's just a farm tour, we get a couple of dozen people to show up. Everybody likes to go out to the farm. We were out to Bonanza Farm here a few months ago. Would we have about a dozen people? If we said it was a certification farm tour for Bonanza Farm, we would have had 2 or 3 instead of 12. It's funny how those things work. We've got to figure that way to get around some of these problems that we've encountered in moving the group forward.
The 2 of them together. Put the 2 of them together.
Say again?
Put the 2
Both of
together.
them together.
Put them
Farm
together?
tour and
Yeah, I think that might be a strategy. We just won't tell it's a certification tour. We say it's a farm tour. And then we go out and do the certification work with the whole crew.
Just the 2 and 1 word.
Okay, well, anyway, PGS, it's a system developed by Pro Organic that we need to just flesh up a little bit.
It was developed by,
I'm supposed to be upbeat here, so let me keep moving on. I don't want to get bogged down and complaining about things I didn't do. Okay, our consumer group. Well, now this has been a roller coaster ride. We have been making organic food available to the consumers of the Coyote District in a convenient manner for years now. It started out, we organized our own co-op, just like the hippies used to do. We'd all get together once a month and have a sort.
once a week.
And once a week. Yeah, the weekly sort.
Thursdays.
That came around. What day was that? Every day we'd have, once a week, we'd have, on Thursday, all Thursday morning. Yeah, I see Diane remembering. Every Thursday morning, we'd all get together, have this big pile of vegetables and sort it into boxes for,
Everybody would-
it was a fun time. But there were those that didn't think that was sustainable and wanted a more commercial approach. And so we moved away from the good old hippie co-op days to a business model. And that had some rocky moments, but it's kept the thing going. And even yet to this day, well, it was yesterday, we have weekly food pickups at Hody's. One of our certified, PGS certified organic farmers, and we tested his produce by sending samples to Guatemala, so we know it's good. Renee, he distributes on Fridays. And we've got another PGS certified grower, Abitas, and we shipped his stuff to Guatemala and it passed the test. He distributes on Wednesdays. So there's now 2 days a week in the Coyote where customers can pre-order organic food and go and pick it up. And that wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for the organizational activities of organic. Now, right now, the farmers are pretty much doing that. We're not having to do much. We started it, we planted the seed and watched it grow. Okay, we're almost done here. I appreciate your patience of putting up with me. Okay, notable highlights. Well, we're still legal. Annual registration is sometimes a complicated task in Belize. You got to do it over and over and over until you get it right. Well, of course they want it right. I don't know why we couldn't get it right the first time, but we rarely do. Well, it's complicated. That's what I mean. Anyway, we are properly certified. We are as legal as you could possibly be with the Belize government, and that's a good thing. And if we ever get into big, serious money issues, we are ready to go. We've got a bank account. We registered with the government of Belize, and we are ready to rock and roll. We've created this structural framework for people to volunteer their time and talents to help Belize. That's what Pob Organic is really about. We amended the bylaws to put in lifetime honorary memberships for our speakers. We figured, gosh, they give us these great speeches. Why don't we give them a membership? Honorary lifetime membership. Doesn't cost us anything. And they're pleased to have their little certificate to put on the wall. We had a yard sale to pay for the expenses of our farmer workshops at the fair. $828 we made. We should have yard sales more often. And that was a fun thing. It was kind of like a social time. And we got rid of a lot of junk. Oh, wait. Okay. This year, for the first year in the history of Pob Organic, we will not be having a booth at the fair. We have been very dedicated to maintaining a presence at the fair every year. Last year, we expanded our presence, doubled our booth size, and put on farmer workshops. But the problem we learned is the competing noise and events. There's no central location. You only catch a farmer if they happen to be walking past. There's no way to direct people to it. And last year we had some boombox crowd across the hall that just thump, 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 thump. You couldn't even hear yourself think. And it was just not conducive. We decided that we're going to take a break off from the fair and look for more structured environments to present the information that we want to give to the Belize audience. We're exploring opening up a lecture series at Central Farm. And we're looking at targeted events like World Food Day. There's an upcoming Youth in Agriculture Conference in November. We want to try to take the message to people that actually want to listen to it instead of try to bombard people with passing by at the fair on the way from a carnival ride to the rodeo. There's a group that still can't get that fair out of their system and are planning to go and pass out literature. And if you want to be part of the walking tour of the fair, we'll still do that.
We'll be at the fair walking.
Just talk to Mary. Okay. Oh, and who did we have at the fair? Well, we had William Grimshaw with the industrial hemp presentation. We had a couple of speakers from Sustainable Harvest, and we have shared booths at the fair with them in the past, and they passed out a nice variety of organic fertilizers to people that stopped by the booth. Stephen Zitzer of Eden Farm, and Zitzer is actually now in the process of building a natural history museum in Santa Elena. We went and looked at the building yesterday. It's nearing completion. Anyway, Stephen Zitzer gave a presentation on soil health and what's going on in the dirt you can't see. Henry, oh, what a charming guy. Henry from Shaw Creek told us all about microgreens. Shaw Creek, to meet the demands for their clientele, wasn't getting enough sprouts. And they set up an entire sprout manufacturing facility at Shaw Creek. One of our tours, about a dozen of us went out and toured the microgreens facility there at Shaw Creek were so impressed, we invited them to come to the fair. And they grow dozens of types of sprouts it's just phenomenal. It's worth going out to look, and it's something you can do in your own kitchen. This is not something big. Now, they're doing it on a kind of an industrial scale at Shaw Creek because they've got the marketplace. So not only are they providing sprouts for Shaw Creek, they're providing sprouts for the Guava Limb restaurant, and now they're shipping sprouts to other resorts around the country. And whether it'll pay out or not, that's an experiment that's still ongoing, but they're definitely showing a way to develop a new market, a market that you can utilize right in your own kitchen. William Musher, like I say, got his hands dirty making us botachi. And Santiago Juan showed up to tell us what to plant and where. Sometimes you got to think about the season and what you're planting. It took me a couple years to realize that's why our gardens kept failing. Trying to plant a vine crop, you know, like watermelon in the middle of the dry season, not a good strategy. And why didn't I know that before? Well, I hadn't read the Garden Go Guide. Okay. We had a Christmas potluck party right here at the Bluffs. Thank you. I'm not going to take any questions, but I am going to ask Mary to tell us about what's going on with those folks in Jamaica.
Thank you, Sparkle, and thank you so much. That was a great report that you put together, Darby. A number of different organizations have reached out to Pro Organic Belize. One of them is called the Source, SOURCE Farm, which is in Jamaica. That's an enormous organic farm with people that live in the farm. It's like a permaculture living experience. So once in a while they get together. Every Sunday they have a open discussion that you can join into. I haven't joined that many of them, but they did want Pro Organic somewhere down the line to come and do a presentation for their Sunday afternoon event. And there's another farm group which is called the Tana Farmers. They're located in San Antonio. And we had a phone discussion with Dottie and myself and Ginny with the Tana farmers. And they're very hopeful for getting organic peanuts to El Salvador. But Sparkle said, why don't they just have organic peanuts for Belize? They don't have to spend all the export money. So anyway, they're an up and growing group too. The next on the agenda, we have a financial report, and Karen and Ginny will give the financial report about where Pro Organic is standing right at this moment in time. So do you want to do it, Ginny, or you?
I can do that.
Jenny,
Okay.
put the microphone by Jenny. Right here.
Okay. All right. So for 2023, so far we have membership dues of $570 as of the 15th of April today. We have 18 individual memberships, which would be $450 for student memberships at $5 each. And also note that Darcy is now a regular member because somebody anonymously chipped in for her payment to make her a regular member instead of a student. And then we have one business membership for this year. Current cash on hand as of today is zero, as far as I know, unless something transpires today at the meeting. Our bank balance last year's time was $1,046.84. And the current balance as of today is $1,522.60. Other income that we received during this past year $82 for the yard sale and book sales, and just small donations to kind of make up a difference of expense versus money received. And donations for a speaker lunch that happened in December, I think, not whichever Don. Sometimes that just makes it easier for, instead of depositing money, is whoever collecting it, if they've paid something out and they've taken something in, then they'll just chip in $4 or $5 and they call it even as a donation. Okay, payables for the remainder of this year would be $75 for the registry filing fee for 2023, approximately $60 of bank fees May through December. At least Belize Bank is a little bit less expensive at $7.50 a month than Scotiabank was. And then if we renew the Zoom account, which is a possibility or not, it would be $325.48 to renew that, which is the very end of December. Our web hosting is $143.52 and $60 for the Herb Lovers table in June. That's all the payables that I'm aware of for the rest of this year. Then expenses for this past year, from April 2022 to April 2023, the total cash out of expenses has been $1,547.34. Basically, that breaks down to $100 in bank, web hosting 143. We got palm cards made this year at BRC, so that we'd have those to pass out at NATS and other events. That was $171. Karen takes care of all of our internet renewals. So our .org domain renewal for a year was $24. Our registry filing fee was $75, which the fee had gone up from the year before. And this past year, we also paid out $180 for chair rental for NATS, $400 booth rental for NATS, and approximately $128 repayment to Sparkle for out-of-pocket NATS expenses. Miscellaneous expenses that were exchanged for dues and donations was $38 for a banner and $18 for a speaker lunch. And the only receivables that I'm aware of for the remainder of this year would be membership dues and donations. So basically we're looking okay for the bank account, and that gives you a recap of this past year. And that for the upcoming year, so well, this year, since we're not participating in NATS, that gives us almost $700 for, $700 that we'll have to spend on some other project. So that's it for the treasurer's report.
This isn't working. When she's done, just tell everybody how much we have in the bank. That's all we need to know. I don't
Okay.
know. We couldn't hear.
Okay.
Couldn't hear. There's 1522.6 in the bank.
Jenny will send it to Dottie, and it will be in the minutes for this meeting. So thank you. And do we have a motion to approve the financial report as you could hear?
Just tell us how much is in the bank. We didn't hear.
Oh, can you say it one more time? How much is in the bank?
$1,522.60.
$1,522.16.
60 cents, yes. 60 cents.
Up there. Okay, and we have a motion.
Somewhere in her report.
Hey, Jenny.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Hey, somewhere in your report, you said that it was a zero. What was a zero? It was way back in
Cash on hand.
cash on hand is a zero. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So once again, it's $1,522.67.
60.
Okay, so
60.
Okay,
Approved.
and seconded? Okay, wait, approved and seconded, and everybody can have their vote if you like having $1,522.67. Okay, whoa, good. Okay, next is, you can't have an annual general meeting. We'll try to make this short and sweet, but you cannot have it without a change in the bylaws. The only time you can do that is when you have the annual general meeting. So our old quorum was 50% plus one, and that became a little dicey and a little challenging sometimes during COVID. But in any case, we don't know what the future is going to bring. So Bronco made a proposal to perhaps changing from 50% plus one to 30% plus one. Do you want to say anything else about that, Sparkle?
Motion to approve.
I second it.
Okay, done. So from now on, program release will be. Oh, vote, everybody vote? Okay, cool, okay. Good. Okay, and at our annual general meeting, we are blessed to have an election of directors. And we're gonna have ballots that are right here, and Valerie and Sparkle are going to pass them out. Best to pass them if they know someone's a member. Is Valerie still here? Okay. So we have on the ballot is Karen Westdyke, who's up for re-election.
If you know you're a member, clap your hands. No, I need to know who to get the ballots to.
The next one is Dacia Regalado. Unfortunately, she's not here. Jane Pinckney and Mary Lou Rencharin. And what we're going to do is pass the microphone around, and each person who's up to serve on the board of directors is going to say a few, except for Darcy, which she's not, Darcy is not here. But I'll start with Karen, and Karen's going to have a little background, and she's going to also talk about some vision that she has for pro-organic in 2023 and beyond. So I'll pass it to Karen. Thank you.
Okay, Mary asked me to put together a 5-minute piece about my life. 79 years, it wasn't easily to put it in 5 minutes. So I'm going to skim. Probably the most fulfilling and important experience molding my life, and certainly the one that has taught me to be a multitasker, was raising 8 children, 3 of my own and 5 of somebody else's. While my children were growing up, I graduated from William Patterson University at age 30, taught school, did Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, assisted my former husband in our restaurant business, had a catering business called the Able Table, and worked part-time as a travel agent, mostly so that I could travel at big discounts. I went to Brazil once for $79, all inclusive. When some of the children were in high school, I served a few years as adult chapter president of American Field Service for 2 high schools, and we facilitated many students, family exchanges with students from the US and from all over the world. And I'm still in touch with some of these students who are now grandparents. I've been fortunate to have met and worked with several incredible mentors, starting with Frank Del Campo. I think I'm off here. I don't know, did I do something? I might have pushed a button. Okay.
I know maybe I didn't.
Okay, well, I'll just talk a little bit loud.
Yell.
And under his direction, we designed an 8-week program and co-authored a workbook to help people achieve relaxed focus, concentration for habit change and self-actualization. And today I'm still.
Just shout a little louder.
I'm still guided by about a philosophy of service that I learned from Frank, which is best described in the last chapter of the book. And that is, we must dedicate ourselves to a philosophy of service for the benefit of all life and the unfolding of universal awareness. All we need to do is to imagine how much we would learn, how much we would achieve, how consistently we would grow if the thought behind our actions was honest, meaningful, unselfish service. unquote, Frank Del Campo. During the 70s, one of my daughters came home from school and started separating the garbage. And this, I believe, was my initial introduction to environmental concerns that have since pretty much dominated my life. From 1987 to 1984, I published an environmental journal called The Messenger, which focused on local as well as international issues of interest and concern. And while writing about a nuclear reactor I discovered in a nearby forest and a radioactive dump site in a nearby town, I met Larry Bogart, who was the Johnny Appleseed of the anti-nuclear movement in the early days. There had been 1,000 nuclear reactors planned for the US, only 100 were built, and many believe that Larry was the reason for this. When he passed away in 1992, he left his archives in my care, and they are now available for posterity and research at the University of Connecticut's Archives and Special Collections Library. During this time, I participated in the formation of the Global Network Against Weapons and Nuclear Power in Space at a meeting in Washington, D.C. in 1992, organized a peaceful protest and march to GE headquarters in order to bring attention to GE's involvement in nuclear technology and their part in the Ulysses and Galileo probes. I started the Women's International Coalition to Stop Making Radioactive Waste and helped organize EnviroVideo and their first documentary film titled 3 Mile Island Revisited, which you can still see on the internet. The Messenger was also the first to report on Ford Motor Company's practice of dumping cadmium paint waste into several abandoned iron mines within the Native American community, which brought a great deal of attention and another major Superfund cleanup. During much of this time, from 1991 to 2008, I worked full-time as a program director and grants writer for a 155-bed shelter program serving homeless, battered women and children, where I served with another mentor, Sandra Ramos, an incredible woman who hugged trees, lived in a purple Quonset hut, and hiked up a mountain twice every day, rain or shine, sleet or snow, to meditate and pray at a waterfall, and who started the first domestic violence shelter in North America in 1970. After retiring from Strengthen Our Sisters in 2008, I moved to Belize to grow neem trees and write children's books. My first children's book was published in 2012 called Flidgywumper, where I introduced the character for my next soon-to-be published book called Flidgywumper Saves the Seas, about a fish who discovers all the plastic waste in the ocean and finds a way to solve the problem. Since coming to Belize, I've served on the board of directors of the Liberty Children's Home, have facilitated a program to find sponsors to help children stay in school, and a program to provide solar energy for families with no electricity. And until COVID, we were able to provide 40 families with solar energy. I've also had the opportunity to research and write articles for the Belize Ag Report, and have met some pretty awesome people in the process of working with Pro Organic Belize and now the Regeneration People, which I believe should be one of the goals for the coming year, and that is forming alliances, because as I mentioned before, alliances bring numbers and there is power in that. Also, I feel it's very important for us to invite more youth, as they have the needed skills, the motivation, and the energy to make the changes that need to be made. I also hope to further develop a directory of organic farmers and so that consumers can find them. And I think we need to implement more school programs, which is already in the works with the efforts of Regeneration Belize and the Youth in Agriculture Project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does everyone have a ballot? Okay, Dacia Regalado is not here. We're going to pass the microphone on to Jane Pinkney, who's also a nominee for the POV Board of Directors. And Jane's going to talk a little bit about herself and her visions for Organic Belize 2023 and beyond.
Good morning. When Mary asked me to speak about myself for 5 minutes, I thought, wow, that sounds awfully boring. But I have had a very untraditional life and it's been very fun and very eclectic. When I was about 30, I became a Montessori teacher. And I love the Montessori classroom. I loved it. The only thing I didn't love was I owned a school at Lake Tahoe, and teaching the kids, I wanted to teach them all about growing plants and food and all this stuff, but you couldn't because for most of the school year, especially the spring, you were looking at 2 feet of snow. When it came time to have a garden, it was summer vacation. So it was frustrating. And then I ended up going over and down the hill into an agricultural valley of Nevada. Maybe some of you know Minden, Gardnerville, about an hour south of Reno. And my heart's desire was a farm school. And there's Montessori farm schools speckled throughout the United States and the world for that matter. And that was really, really what I wanted to do. But unfortunately, in Nevada, with laws and regulations with fire department and licensing and all this sorts of stuff, it was just not doable. There was no way you could do it. I ended up opening a big, large school in town and administrated that for several years, but I didn't like the administration part. I felt kind of hemmed in and claustrophobic by the walls, and I have energy and I wanted to be creating and designing. So, and at the time, my son was 2 and I had become a single parent, and I decided to sell out and go to college, which I got my degree in landscape architecture. I ended up having to go to Las Vegas to finish that, and people in Las Vegas thought I was absolutely nuts because I was all about the urban farm, outdoor classrooms, bringing the classroom outside, bringing the classroom inside, nutrition gardens and all the stuff. And they kind of just rolled their eyes at me. But then wanting my son to stay in Montessori education, that on a public level, because I couldn't afford the private, we ended up relocating to Davis, California. We're at the home of UC Davis. And lo and behold, all the things that I was promoting in Las Vegas and for my undergrad is exactly what they were doing at UC Davis. So I wanted to continue with my education. Honestly, it was kind of a sweet way to be a single mom. And I was at that point taking care of my mom too. And it gave me a real flexible schedule. So I got a master's degree in community and regional development. And it was a very loose degree program to where you could pick your specialty. Anywhere from housing to economics to Medicare to sustainable agriculture, which I did. And of course, I ended up focusing on sustainable ag and agriculture education. And that basically led me through the next 10 plus years. I didn't go and I didn't do an internship and get licensed as a landscape architect because it was a recession. And I didn't want to move my son out of Davis because it was a great place to raise a child. So I stayed put and I went to work in the school district with an education background, and not having a state credential though was really to my benefit because I got to be from K through 12. All the classrooms doing all of everything, and I loved the variety and I loved what I learned. And at the same time, I stayed working where I had been as a grad student at the organic farm at UC Davis. And they had all these different programs with field trips and outreach and all this sorts of stuff, and it was all grant funded. At the time, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor of California, and his wife, Maria Shriver, was really big into school gardens. So there was millions of dollars literally in grant monies in California for school gardens. And between UC Davis and UC Santa Cruz and UC San Diego, we had this network. We were distributing workshops and seminars all throughout the state on school gardens, creating and sustaining them, nutrition gardens. A lot of it was ended up being funded ongoing by the food stamp agencies and that type of stuff. So anyway, I was on the ground floor of that, and it was really great. Along came Common Core, and we had to redo all of our curriculum to match Common Core, and we were doing everything from K-12. So it was really a great time for me. Yes, my son was in high school. I was working in the schools. I was a very active volunteer mom, and then I had these grant programs that were ongoing through the university, and we also had I kept foreign exchange students as well. It was a very busy time, a very fun time. I wanted to stay. I didn't want to ever leave what I was doing. I loved it. Unfortunately, the grant that paid my salary was denied 2 years in a row because priorities changed, and then the California Department of Food and Agriculture no longer wanted to fund agriculture education in school gardens. They wanted to put their money into drought tolerant plants. After this winter, I don't know that they need that, but that's what they wanted to do. So for 2 years, my grant was denied, and my son had graduated from high school. My mom had decided to move into a senior facility. So I just kind of thought, well, this is the universe telling me it's time to move on with my life. I went to Hawaii for 4 years and worked in the schools, back and forth. My mom passed away. My sister passed away a few months later. I was shook up. I thought, I gotta go home. I gotta go back to Northern California, which is where I am from originally. And I got back there and I said, there's no way I can't afford this. I can't afford the drug addicts. I can't deal with the traffic. I mean, I just can't mentally deal with it, and I had a good friend who had moved to Sardinia. I came to Sardinia to visit her, and here I am in Ohio, where I love to be in the farming community with the farm. So that is how I got to where I am today. I am very blessed to be here. I love being here. I love where I live. I love all that I'm doing. I look forward to being part of POB, and what I see myself, how I see myself contributing, taking from what I just explained to you of my eclectic background, what I see myself wanting, really feeling that I want to do is develop the Cayo farming community. And what that looks like, I don't really know, because I want it to take its shape and its form organically. But I am starting off with a Cayo farm trail map. And I think I'm going to have that done, hopefully by the end of June. That's kind of my deadline in my head. And that's a place to start. And every farmer will get a map. They'll be posted. It'll be on the website, I'm sure. And that's my first step. And where that leads me from there, I'm just going to keep an open mind, open ears, open heart, and see where it takes me. But that's what I feel I can bring to this table. So thank you very much.
Thank you. A lot of good background. Next on our nominees for board of directors is Mary Lynch Howard. And Mary has been coming to meetings for some time, and she's a very interesting woman, and she'll tell you why.
Hi, I'm originally from Belize. She should be in front of the screen because there are people.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Hello, I'm Marguerite Rancheran. I'm originally from Corozal. I grew up at a time when everything was normal and natural. We didn't even know that there was organic and that sort of stuff. I have a memory of what food used to taste like. And I want to bring that back. That's my aim, to bring back food the way it used to be. That's basically why I'm here. I did my primary school is in Corozal. And then I did high school and junior college or sixth form in the city. I went back to Corozal and I taught at a village school, Escuela Secundaria Técnica Mexico, which had agriculture program, it had a welding program and mechanic program, apart from your traditional academic and commercial classes. I then taught at Quality High School and the Blitz. Then after that, I changed from the teaching profession. I did scenes of crime, forensics. I am now retired. So I think I've done a lot of different things. I like challenges. I like learning new things. I think we stay young when we continue to learn. So that's why I'm here too. That's about it for me.
Thank you, thank you. If anyone hasn't voted yet on your little sheet, if you can kindly do that and pass it to Sparkle. Is Valerie still here?
Valerie, come up with that.
Oh, okay, well, we're going to, Sparkle is going to count the ballots, we can get them all in this little container. And we're gonna move on to our next part of the agenda. And we are so honored to have some of our farmers here, the farm and farmers recognition. So I'll get the. We have a lot of farms that we've had the honor to go see, and a lot of farmers that we met on the way. And we wanted to acknowledge them because they have worked very hard. It's a very challenging, sometimes rewarding, sometimes disappointing job to be a farmer in Belize. So many elements to deal with, the hot sun, the lots of rain, but we have some excellent, excellent farmers, and I just wanted to, I'm honored to be able to give on this certificate. The first one is for Mr. John Arana. John Arana owns the farm, and maybe you can read it all.
Certificate is presented to Bonanza Farm, recognition of the support for regenerative farming principles, pesticide-free farming practices, and producing healthy food.
Thank you. It's a wonderful farm.
Did we get that on the Zoom?
Where exactly is it located? It's in
It's 3 miles behind together and on the Fuxi Road in front of TKO. Southside Farm.
beautiful. We have a recognition for Shaw Creek, and maybe some people have realized, but Shaw Creek has been organically farming for years. We especially want to recognize Henry, but we'll make sure they get their certificate. The next certificate goes to one of our newer farmers that we are so engaged with. He gave a recent last month's presentation, what was this month's presentation, for Pob April 1st. And we've been out to visit his farm. It's a magnificent farm, and it's located just outside Spanish Lookout. So you can come forward. This is Stephen Hochstetler. Is that right? Yes. And that's your certificate. This is the same thing. Recognition of support for regenerative farming principles, pesticide-free farming practice, and producing healthy food. And this guy is absolutely amazing, and he keeps it going year round. And he got a customer base. So maybe if someone wants to get on the list, this harvest list, can you go down there and give Stephen your email address and phone. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Next on the list, we are very honored to have James Mesh himself. I call the Akmo, it's like my home away from home. Every time I go there, I feel so blessed, such a sense of peace. And believe it or not, it's the only coffee shop I know that you can call and make a reservation. And it's well worth every ounce of being there, because it's an experience being on a permaculture farm, or a farm that the family has farmed for generations. So without further ado, This is for James Mesh and his wonderful, wonderful family. And that's again in recognition, support for regenerative farming principles, pesticide-free farming practice, and producing healthy food. So when you go there, you might see James, you might see his son Derek, you might see his nephew, but they're all it's all family owned. Make delicious coffee, and we have coffee up here. And did you say you brought some coffee to them to buy some?
Oh, I just brought some.
Oh, we brought some for the table. Well, that's very thoughtful. It's absolutely delicious coffee, and you wouldn't believe how wonderful it is to have the coffee beans there, to have them harvested, to winnow them, to roast them, and to grind it. Big operation. Yes, it was wonderful. Next, we have the Tune Farm. What a treasure. And when you drive by, you see Active One Permaculture Farm. We've always been intrigued by it, the little pond, the little ducks. But when you get into the inner sanctum, you'll see what a wonderful, wonderful job Peggy and her work crew have done, transforming. It's an ancient lion. You can see some of the terraces. So over the years, they've evolved it and made a absolutely magnificent, wonderful artistic farm. So, oh, okay. Hello. Okay. So this is the certificate here. Mrs. Peggy here. You want to say a few words?
I would say that Aquatoon Farm is a permaculture farm. The idea is to show an example of how, without a lot of money, you can make a very diverse and sustainable farm to diversify your food. And I'd like to promote more farming individually, or just improving one's diet and well-being. I guess that's what we said.
Well, thank you. It sounds like you have a wonderful opportunity. As Sparkle mentioned in the annual report, that since in the recent months we've gotten permission from Central Farm to use their conference room. So maybe that's a start, is having local farmers come and talk about how to grow things and why to grow things. And how you can, Stephen would say, and you can do it too. Next we have, Abdias couldn't make it today, but Sayab Farm is up and growing. Sayab Farm is Abdias' family farm. And we went there to see it, was it yesterday, was it day before yesterday. Magnificent farming, expanding with 6 greenhouses. I'm going to give this certificate to James Mesh so he can give it to Derek, who's the secretary for the Tana Farmers Group. And we want to offer, one of the things program does offer support to farm groups and farmers that are starting off and point them in like what resources we know about, and they can share what resources they know about. So when we were out at a business farm, he mentioned that through a grant, they have a building there that they can hold workshops in. So that would be an opportunity to have crafts for the villages, how to grow peanuts or whatever. But anyway, this will be for Tana Farm. Obed Martinez is the director, and he has about 6 farmers, maybe more. There's a lot of farmers that are working in that. So that for the do. Thank you for accepting that, and thank you for the Tana Farmers. Work hard. Okay, and next coming up was what a gem. We discovered Upi 9 Farm this year. Well, I say we discovered it because we didn't know, but about 6 to 10 years ago, when Organic was first getting started, that we were buying vegetables from this wonderful gentleman, Philip Mai, who lived in a different location in San Antonio. He just moved back to his ancestral land 2 years ago. And he's still producing organic produce. He's a wonderful farmer. So I don't know who would be the next one? Can I give this to you, Valerie, and you can stop it by? And Upinai is right there in San Antonio, right on the cross at line. And you can go there and see Philip, who we made the connection with. Well, two new people who recently have a business member certificate. And it's for two master gardeners, of Robert and Amy. Amy's last name is Almond, and Robert's last name is Daddy. Robert's, I know I saw it somewhere. Okay, by the way, Robert and Amy. And Robert and Amy live right on Bullet Tree Road, off Bullet Tree Road, near Jenny and John. Okay, now Beth isn't here for her little reward, Belize Agm Report. She's worked very hard on that, as has Dottie over the years, and there's a new edition coming out. We save this one for the Bluffs because no one's here to accept it, but we will make sure they get their certificates. The Bluffs has been very kind to Pro Organic over the years. So those are the certificates, and we're much appreciation. And now with the drum roll, Sparkle's going to come and give a report on the ballot counting.
All of the candidates were elected.
Okay, and Jenny, did you vote? Did you get to vote online?
I did.
Okay.
I
Did you vote?
I vote.
Oh,
I sent it in the chat.
okay, wonderful. Thank you. Oh, there you go. Okay, now we have something that is not on the agenda. A little basket here. This is a little basket. It's all full of little surprises. And the little surprises are all here for someone who's worked her heart and soul for Pro Organic, who put together the annual general meeting, who put together certificates, who wrote the 2022 year in review, who put together the agenda for the meeting, and has always been the strong right arm and the backbone for Pro Organic Belize. And that is our friend Dottie Porch. So Dottie. But we love you. And Dottie has friends here from far away that she worked with 2 years ago. Hundreds of years ago. But they haven't aged at all. They're all just so active and so beautiful and so wonderful. So they've taken time out for their vacation to be here at the Pro Organic annual general meeting. So thank you for coming here. And thank you, Dottie. If you need an explanation of anything, you can
Stop, guys.
You want to read her?
They never heard of.
Oh, okay. Great.
Oh, you want, okay.
We have a beautiful little poem that Karen Westside wrote. And I'll pass the microphone and she can read it nice and loud.
It's called Homage to Dottie. We appreciate Dottie each day. Our homage to her we do pay. For all that she does to keep us above all the stuff we need to convey. Her edits and minutes are fine, and prayers before meetings divine. She never is late, and her help is top rate. She keeps POB and RG all in line. So we honor our Dottie right now. She surely should take a great bow as we applaud her devotion with heartfelt emotion, with talents her life's been endowed.
We pass it on to her.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So that the book that Sharon wrote is all in rhymes. It's absolutely fabulous.
I dream in rhyme.
A lot of people here have secret talents. One of Karen's is that she's just written a book called Switchy Wumper.
Saves the seas.
Switchy Wumper, is it Switchy Wumper? 2.
Well,
And
yeah.
continuation, and the basic theme of the story is plastics, anti-plastics, plastics out of the environment as much as possible. So you'll be seeing Suji Wumper. And also Sparkle mentioned that Trojan will not be at the Nats Fair this year. But I was talking to Karen the other day and she said, why don't we go to the Nats Fair? We can wear our t-shirts and we can walk around. I go, oh my God, it's so good because that way you'll make a presence there. We can pass out palm cards, we can talk to people, but we're not stuck in a booth with a psychic and makeup artist and nightclub closed across the street. It was very noisy last year, so. Anyway, that was. And again, as Jenny mentioned, we're having a booth at the Herb Lovers, it's called Herb Lovers Forum.
Yeah, herb lovers, something.
I think the Herb Lovers Forum is put on by the mayor of Belmont. And the theme of it is healthy food, one of the things herbs and healthy food. So we will have a booth there, and that's coming up in June 21st and 22nd. So we need many people that can come would be great. Okay, and now we're meeting with a new format, starting up the speaker meetings, but we're ending out our last 3 o'clock, first Saturday of the month speaker. And then we're moving on. We're going to have maybe workshops at Central Farm or a different format. So we're honored to have Oscar Morales and Yanis Murcia, who is an agronomist. They invited Proagenic to come for a farm tour at 2 o'clock at Rancho Paradiso, which is in the Salina district of Spanish Lookout. So we'll be sending the information, and anyone that wants to come for a tour. The main thing they do is coconuts, coconuts, coconuts. But they do other things too. He likes to grow lemon and he has a backyard garden. So he said it's better for people to come to him because he loves to show his farm. But people that can't make it will still have Zoom. But he said it's hard to do Zoom when you're walking around your farm. So that's why he wants us to come at 2, at 3. There'll be the last Zoom meeting for further notice. So last but not least, we're moving along here. We have the POB Consumers Group that we have the farmers Renee Zib, Actius Mesh, Stephen Hostetler, and Philip Mai. So and as Jane gets more farm tours, there'll be more people on the consumers group. And speaking of Jane, do you want to say a few more words about your farm directory?
I don't know where it got the name directory, because it's not really a directory. I think of a directory as, like a leaflet pamphlet or something. It's a map. It's going to be 8.5 by 11 by 17, excuse me. A map of the basic Cayo area, and each farm there will be numbers on it, numbers of all the different farms, and on the back side, the numbers and the information about each farm. And it's basically know your farmer, know your food, and that's kind of my starting point of this bigger project that who knows, and we will see where it is. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Okay, we have one more thing on the agenda. I have to find an agenda so I can see what else is the grand finale here.
While Mary's trying to figure out where she's at, I brought a dozen agave plants, totally free. Anybody that wants an agave plant, just help yourself. These agave plants, what they make tequila from, makes a sweet syrup. But the remarkable thing, they also are known as the century plant. And they put up a 30-foot flower spike once in their lifetime.
Wow.
And this agave I'm holding here was a little sprout that came off a 30-foot spike we had on our own farm. It's a stunning landmark plant. It stands about 8 feet tall when it's grown, and then there's the flower spike. It would be a nice border plant for like a driveway. It's just something to look at, and they're free. Just help yourself.
Wow.
And the benefit is, it got me low, it was the dry season, so when you first start out, you need to water it and you get it started. Then you can just like forget it, you don't have to go and water it every day, it just will grow. So it gets very tall. Okay, and our, we already mentioned about our Pro Organic Belize Tropical Garden Grow Guide, and if you want to look at that, you can just go to Pro Organic Belize website, and it lists all the speakers. You can listen to all the speakers. You can look up the Grow Guide, and if anything appeals to you, you can read about the Grow Guide. We're expanding the Grow Guide to have more recipes and folklore and so forth in it. And like Dottie said, she would reference it, because right now it's all in different, a lot of different people have made Grow Guides. But everyone's got a different typeset, so it needs to be made a different format, so. That will be coming out. It says plan for publishing in book form. Well, we will be working on that to make that happen. And last but not least, we have the YAC. YAC stands for the Youth and Agriculture Conference. This is an extremely ambitious plan to have the first ever, I think, agriculture fair for children. Is it 10 to 18? From 10 to 18. And there'll be 2 days of busing in children from all different schools and 4 different venues for workshops. And the kids will be making exhibits, and it will be we're trying to make it cultural and fun day. So a few people in this room know who you are members of that, and next Saturday, the 22nd at 10 o'clock at Best House will be the next convenience of that. So if you want to learn more, you can get in touch with Beth or Dottie. And let's see what time it is now. Oh my goodness, we're doing so good here. It's not even your time yet. Well, we have a few. That's the good we should running over in a minute. So does anyone else have anything to say? Steve, you want to come and say what you're growing, what you're harvesting? Yes, it's helper.
Growing children.
Yeah, I've got my sidekick with me. So right now we are planning a vacation for the summer, so things are slowing down a bit. We are hoping to start back up bigger than before in the fall, probably around in August, early August. Right now we have pineapples getting right, not ripe yet, but by the time we're back, they should be ripe for flowering. A lot of pineapples, papayas are growing. The trees, our orchard, we have about 4 acres of fruit trees, and we've only had the farm for about 2 years, and so that was the first thing I did when I bought the farm, was to plant trees. And now some of the mango trees already have quite a few mangoes on them, so hopefully fruit will have more and more fruit as time goes on. As far as vegetables, things are slowing down. We always have cassava and sweet potatoes, and a few other vegetables, but for the most part, our row crops are slowing down for our trip. I guess that's about the update on the farm.
Okay.
Probably not. They will be ripening. Hopefully they'll wait to ripen until we're back. I'm hoping. But if they don't, then some of my workers and farm hands will be utilizing them, I guess.